Welcome back, everybody, to the Roofers Helper podcast. My name is Richie Rousseau. I'm the owner of Thunder Media and partner here at the Roofers Helper to create content that helps roofers. We're so grateful for our sponsors that make all this possible, from all the short form content that you see us share to these podcasts. Big shout out to our main sponsor, JobNimbus, and then also to one of our latest sponsors here on the Roofers Helper, Saenz Global. Today I have Thais Saenz with Saenz Global. Thais, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
When we first met, I'll be honest, I saw signs because it's like I've got a company in my local called Saenz Global, but they're making signs. Tell us, Thais, who are you and what do you do at Saenz Global?
I am business owner, a former corporate dropout, right? I guess those are things of like not my title, but those are a little bit about me, right? I'm also originally from the Amazon jungle, literally was born in a tribe hut with indigenous, where I lived for 3 years and then went over to Mexico City where I learned all the good things Spanish. And then really awesome, we moved to the US and that's Thais. I am a former corporate dropout and just built Saenz Global along with an amazing team. So yeah, that's who I am. And what is Saenz Global? We're a roofing admin support team for roofing contractors nationwide, from Hawaii all the way down to Florida.
10 volumes worth of story down into like a sentence. Well done. You might be asking, so you said you were born in the Amazon, and is that Brazil?
Yeah, absolutely. Brazil.
What was the name of the tribe you were part of?
They were the Chikuna tribe. So if you go to Manaus, which is the capital of the Amazon jungle in Brazil, it takes you 5 days in a boat to get to Benjamin Constant. And at that time, there was the Chikuna tribes that my parents were working with. So that is my story. I literally didn't have dolls. I had monkeys, pet monkeys. I would play with snakes and I would just, bathe in the river. It's literally, it's real stuff. It's real
with
stuff.
The piranhas and the little pythons and stuff.
Yep, totally. They were part of the everyday. So yeah, it's been fun to actually go back multiple times throughout the years and just being able to help the people there. But it's cool. Like that is where I'm from, and there's a lot of photos to prove it.
I love it.
A lot of them.
From there you went to Mexico. Did you start your corporate career in Mexico, or was that after you moved to the States?
No, in the United States. So really, I didn't start my corporate life. I was all young, right, going through that. So my parents went to university in Mexico, and so I was there. We were living there, and through that, they were invited by an Anglo community to come to the U.S. and help them kind of do some startups there. So yeah, we moved to the U.S. and the story began there. So I did my main time in the U.S. Elementary, middle school, high school, college, and yeah.
What type of corporate work did you get into?
Corporate America. I started with Nordstrom. So I studied marketing and business. And so I was in the Dallas area time at that time. And I did an internship at like the North Dallas location, one of the top stores in the whole nation. And through that was one of the interns with various other interns. And I was asked to come in as management for their client experience. So that's kind of where my first corporate life started there. And then after that, I got recruited for stainless steel manufacturing to another company.
Started in Nordstrom in North Dallas. Is that in the Galleria?
No, that's not in the Galleria. Actually, it is North
Park Mall.
Yeah, there you go.
North Park Mall.
Yeah.
Funny story. I have a bag that I bought when I was a senior in high school. And people always ask me, like, that's a really cool bag. Where'd you get it? Like, it was a Fossil brand, but I bought it at the North Park Mall at Nordstrom back in 2011.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I've had that bag for, I don't know how many years that is, but it's over a decade and it's holding up well. And it's funny that I was always attracted to things that, well, maybe a little bit more expensive up front, but lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah. And that is Nordstrom for you. They do. Back in the day, at least, they were doing a really great job bringing really solid brands. Yeah.
You started with customer interactions and support early on. I mean, that's basically how you started, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. And pre that, like right before I've always been had a lot, I guess the word that defines me is grit, right? I was 15 years old and kind of already wanted to go get a job. My parents were like, you can't work till you just focus on school. And I'd be like, oh, by the way, I got hired. Working at Foot Locker, right? And then I'm like, oh, and by the way, I went ahead and got hired somewhere else. And now I'm doing 2 jobs on the weekends. So I've always had that grit of like, I want to go after things. So I've been starting really early age, like 15 was already doing like 3 different jobs from, working in retail to working with, taking care of clients in Palm Beach Island and stuff like that. So just a lot of
drive for that. Did you like just want nice stuff and didn't want to?
No, I think my drive was I saw my parents. So my parents were missionaries. And so I saw my parents, they did so much for us. And I would just see they were always so thankful, so joyful. But I would see also that they didn't have a lot of monetary things, right? And not at least like what I was seeing. And so there was this drive in me, and I actually have that drive till this day that drives me to like do great things, to bless great people. And one of those people's, right, is my parents. So I always had this drive, like I need to go forward so that I can bless great people that a lot of times, don't see the financial benefits of it. So it's actually like my core goal to buy my parents a home and to just bless them with the retirement, things of that nature. So it's still a drive till this day.
It's a noble calling there. I love it.
Yeah.
So what did it look like from stepping out of that into your full-time, before you started Saenz Global?
Yeah. So before I started Saenz Global, I was in corporate America again, just kind of got recruited from Nordstrom by a client actually to go work at a stainless steel manufacturing company. In that company, they were over making all of the equipment for franchises. So think Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Burger King, any franchise around the world is what they would do. They would build all of the equipment, kitchen equipment. So I got recruited to come on just because I also knew 3 languages and I love people, right? And so they put me over management of the Latin American market. So I was over all of Latin America for all of the equipment in the industry. But again, working with Fortune 500 companies, right? McDonald's being one of them. And what I noticed when they asked me to take over the Florida market, which is a fun fact, Florida has more volume alone than all of Latin America together when it comes to like movement in the McDonald's world, which is very interesting. So they asked me to come into the Florida market to help them gain market share. So I went ahead and got involved in the US market, which is very different of how Latin America market was ran. And so I was really involved with a lot of project management, kind of overseeing our kitchen equipment being delivered, but also seeing how construction and roofing and electric all were part of it. And there is so much, sometimes I would see some gaps in communication, right? So I heard a podcast like this. And on the podcast, this individual, he was an entrepreneur, he said, the best thing I ever did is go virtual. So I kept that in my pocket. And then 2020 came along. I was on maternity leave for 4 months. I was like, it's a great time to start a business online. And so as I'm on maternity leave, so that's kind of how it started. Started building a business with a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old at that time, and all online. My husband's like, you are always wild and you want to build something, so go for it. So build Saenz Global there. My first client, it was like, if you were alive and breathing, if you were business owner and you breathed, I was like, I can help you. Right. And so first one was a taco company. So I was like doing social media for them and stuff. And it just kept going and going. And then 5 months later, I resigned my corporate career, which most people thought were absolutely insane just because it was a great career. And I just had really climbed the corporate ladder very quickly and had a bright future. But there's something in me that I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and take this leap. But I do have to say though, my husband's cousin, she was the VP of Oracle Cloud System at that time. And she was like, Thais, just do it. So it was really, I had a lot of support too of individuals that were far beyond what I am, just letting me know like, hey, this is a good thing. Go ahead and do it. Jump, take the risk. So yeah, it's kind of what happened there.
So you were when you were at the sheet metal company or stainless steel company, you were working directly with contractors. How did you see those gaps that you were noticing?
Yeah. So I would have to attend some business meetings, right, with the franchise owners. And then I would sit there with the general contractors. And so the general contractors were managing like the build of the whole, franchise itself, building a new one. And then we were in connection with them because of the equipment. So as they were building, we had to strategize when the equipment should be arriving, right? So also that involved, hey, if it arrives, it can't arrive before the electrical is not available, right? Or before like all these different aspects. And so I would see some gaps in the process, like, well, you guys delivered it, but we weren't done, things of that nature. And I was like, oh, there's definitely a lot of opportunity here for administrative side, because what I've noticed is that in the construction, it tends to be really great at doing what they are doing, but the admin and stuff is so important, but it's so easy to kind of lose hold of.
Truly not really great at the administrative side. So you went from a full-time career and then just started your own business. You said it was a 5 months of transition.
Yeah, I did both things for 5 months and then gave my notice.
So you went from tacos to roofing. How did that go?
So I went from tacos to roofing to gutters to windows and doors. So I had multiple different type of clients. So we even had a healthness company, right? So we would do leads for them, all these different things. And then we got connected to a roofing contractor that was needing help. So they had worked with virtual before, and they didn't have a lot of success with it. And so what I did, they were introduced to me, and so I went ahead and pitched them something that honestly didn't exist, but I knew I could build it because I knew the team that could build it, right? We're like, yeah, you need help with that? Absolutely, you can do it. And also, I think having that grit and also the corporate background, the things that were needed is not like I totally grasped just because knew a lot of import, export, movement, prices, all that stuff. So it all made sense. So kind of they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward. So we went ahead, we learned all things roofing from pulling permits, scheduling inspections. We learned all of those things by doing them. And then we decided to go, you know what, let's just go ahead and go all in roofing. So that's what we did. We just went all in roofing. So everything that we know is truly from working within the roofing industry.
Okay, so I find it's interesting that McDonald's did more business there in Florida than all of Central America, or you said Latin America. I also find it's interesting that roofing's probably not, maybe doesn't cover all of the United States, but Florida is a pretty busy market of all places to be and for roofing.
Mm-hmm.
The hurricanes definitely make that market quite unique.
The funny thing too is that our first client wasn't even in Florida; they were in Colorado.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
fair enough. Colorado has its fair share of storms as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then find your first client.
Yeah, they actually got introduced to us. I had a mentor at the time, and she's like, hey, this company came to us and they were wanting some administrative support for roofing. And I know that you were very familiar with the construction world. I think it would be a good fit. And so that's kind of how we met, pitched, they informed us what they were needing, confirmed that we could do what they were needing. And then it's actually been they were our first client and they're still our client till this day. So they've been with us for almost 5 years now.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, and I've seen this to be the case, that especially in the trade and the construction world, people are very good at what they do. They're very good at putting houses together, very good at putting buildings together, roof systems together. But when it comes to the administrative side of things, it's almost like, well, if you're going to be super good at that, who's going to pick up the phones? Who's going to handle the billing? Like, is it the permitting, the actual process of moving a project through the business end of things? Now, my experience has always been that you would hire this in house. The virtual concept feels rather new. Is that the case, or what's been your experience with bringing the virtual approach to the construction industry?
Yeah, I think it truly is. There's so many benefits to it. So it is new to a lot of individuals, right? The interesting thing too, like virtual assistants is something that a lot know, and it's very common nowadays. And I think that's a huge help. The thing that kind of differentiates where we kind of took is that we went more for a BPO. So we went from, we're not VAs, we are fully a business processing outsourcing. So we really can run the full back end without we're not a VA, we're not one individual. It's really like machinery. So that's different in the roofing industry, I believe, a lot. I think there is more familiarity definitely with getting VAs, but the business process outsourcing is, I think, still a little new to the market, but it's awesome.
You mentioned that the VA and the VPO, as you're calling it, is different in that you're not just a third party that's connecting companies with their ideal VA, which I see a lot of companies doing that. You actually have the employees in-house and you're handling the process outsourcing as part of your team is handling that. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So our team is fully in-house. It's really like a partnership. I always say, hey, we want to win the Super Bowl. We want to win the World Cup. How do you do it? You bring in elite players, right? And they play their sphere of genius. And so we say, hey, contractors and their teams tend to be really good hunters. They they crush it, right? Where they tend not to be so great is the cooking, right? And so what we say is they hunt, we cook, and together we rock and roll, right? We feast, we enjoy. But also when we're playing for any championship team, the team is coming together, we're working together, we're playing together, and then we're winning together. And so that's the commitment that we're coming in. You're not having to coach us or train us, right? Like a VA, we don't find the VA for you and then plug it in. Really, a lot of times we're in a consultants in many ways. And the thing too that we're really doing is we're elevating the power of technology, right? And so you're having this human aspect that we know all the ins and outs of the industry, but we're also leveraging technology like AI and a lot more, and also the human aspect. So it's really a team and machinery, and our whole team is full in-house. They work full-time for Saenz Global.
I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned AI. I mean, that's all the rage now. I mean, I can't think of this instance right now off the top of my head where AI could specifically replace things like filing a permit or some other things. What are things that you think will never go to AI and things that you're able to utilize AI with, especially specifically in the business process side of things?
Yeah, I think AI is going to really take forth a lot of things, right? Well, a lot. So emailing, text messaging, all of that good stuff that's already doing, right? There's some areas, permitting. I think that's one aspect that you're definitely going to still need, right? Until maybe the system gets updated. But for now, permitting is definitely one of them. That's a huge one. And then also, I think there's this power of like, I know the AI is absolutely going to be able to take on calls. It's already doing that's what we use for our clients. They can take on calls, but also the power of like the human aspect. There's still something about people, right? And I think that's going to differentiate. So it's definitely going to be AI being used in various forms, automation, streamlining, making things faster, executing a lot with almost 99, 100%, rate, but also that human aspect of being able to connect with the client at times as well. Because you're still dealing with different generations, right? So you still have baby boomers out there. They like a phone call, speak to a human, right? Those are still There's still important things. And so for now, I think just really leveraging both things, super powerful.
When it comes to actually utilizing a outsourced business processing company, what does my business have to look like to properly utilize that? Like, I'm assuming there's cost involved and an investment, so I need to be doing some business. And I've always wondered with services like this, does the cart come before the horse? How does a company go about properly utilizing a company like yours?
Yeah, that's a great question, and actually a really good time to ask it. We're in a new era here at Saenz Global. We actually just went live with Saenz Global 2.0, so things have really shifted. We brought in some incredible leadership, top caliber individuals. Got a new CEO, Jackie Long, just a ton of experience, knowledge in optimization and streamlining. And so what's happening now for the client to work with us, there's just really some factors that we are able to help you if you don't have them anyways, right? So for example, you need to have a CRM. So right now we are only working with contractors who have JobNimbus or AccuLynx. That's it. Right. So you're using, and I know JobNimbus is one of the companies.
Yes, they're our title sponsor.
Yeah, we love them. We love JobNimbus. And so why did we choose those? Well, because within the industry, we have used every single CRM, right? In the last 4.5 years, we have used every single CRM in the industry to help contractors. Because before we were more of a customized, BPO. Now, what we decided is we're really just going to stick with, hey, JobNimbus, AccuLynx, truly we know it like the back of our hand, and we know that they can streamline and optimize really quickly for our client. So to work with us, you have to have one of those two CRMs. If you don't, and you're interested in moving CRMs, we can still help you, right? We actually have built out a full migration process. We can migrate clients within 72 hours. So if you're in a CRM and you want to migrate into a JobNimbus, we can literally migrate you within 72 hours. So that's one aspect too. So we can help customers that are like, listen, we're in another CRM, but we have complete interest in joining JobNimbus or AccuLynx. We're actually able to make that happen, no problem. And also we can set them up. So truly what you need to work with us is one, you want technology, right? You also are like, okay, communication is key, right? And most of the time what we really recommend is you have someone in-house already that's kind of doing maybe some production management, right? That's ordering your materials. Sure. If you have someone in-house that's already doing that, your production manager, we can really truly take over and do everything else. So yeah, we typically prefer not working directly with the owners themselves because they're busy, right? And if we need some information, they tend to be the bottleneck. So what we really prefer is they do have a main point of contact that we can work with inside. And pricing is super simple. It is now that's also changed. We're really going client focused, making it super simple for our clients to make these decisions to work together or not. And so there's various things. You just need to have CRM. That's definitely one of them. That's a must. And if you don't have one, we can help you. And then also you do have to want to grow. So if you're a roofing contractor, is like, well, I don't want to grow. I just want to stick with what I have. We're most likely not the right fit for you because automatically implementing us equals growth. So that's kind of what we're looking for.
I love that. The big question that we see all the time in roofing groups is, what's the best CRM? What's the best CRM? Well, I'm not asking you to endorse or officially condone either one of those, but obviously, like you said, you've seen a lot of them, and out of all of them, those two seem to rise above the rest. Can you tell me maybe a couple of your favorite things about each of the platforms?
Yeah. So if I told you I knew all of the things about the platforms, I'd be lying. That's mostly our ops team. So a lot of the stuff that we gather is because ops is working in it. But I will tell you, our preferred as a company is 100% JobNimbus. And again, before we used to be like, everyone, it's a neutrality, but we used to still be like, thank God they have JobNimbus, right? And so till this day, it's JobNimbus. I'm not getting endorsed. I don't get paid for this, but truly working with hours and thousands of hours in the roofing industry, our team has. JobNimbus just makes it so simple, but also it allows our contractors to grow. So we've been with our contractors when they're at 3 million and then they're 40 million and they're still able to grow with the platform. And also what I love about JobNimbus is one of the things is the user. You're able to log in. They just make it user friendly, right? And then also they have so many great integrations as well. And they're constantly investing in making their platform better. And so it's truly for us, we are hardcore believers that JobNimbus is your best pick.
Yeah, no, we've noticed the same thing. That's why we're so grateful to have them as a sponsor. If you're looking for a CRM, we have a special code for those of you who are looking for a CRM. Thais, you mentioned something that's, I think a lot of people, especially in the construction tree, they see, and it might even be, they see it in their owner or they see it in themselves, and that is as the owner, they become the bottleneck. Can you tell us, maybe from your experience, what helps an owner take the steps necessary to go from, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right, to if I don't hand this off, we're not going to grow?
What we're seeing and what we really want to focus on is working with contractors that have thoughtful leadership, where their goal is really to lift others up, including in their company. And so from our experience, the contractors that go, no one can do it as good as me, they are typically a very toxic place to work at, right? So that's one huge red flag. And again, we've done this with a lot of experience. And so that mentality, I think if you do have that mentality, I think it's a good wake-up moment to be like, this is not how you're going to be a well-functioning owner, right? Because the point of being an owner is that you can have freedom, right? You want freedom of time. You want to also have freedom that your team is growing, that they're excited about work. And those are actually things that happen, right? And so for those business owners that struggle with that, I would really say, hey, look yourself in the mirror, right? And just say, hey, who do you want to be? Like, if you want to be an owner that has freedom, that your team loves working with you, that it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but hey, people are committed to the goal and to the mission, then it all starts with the leader. So if the leader is not growing, the company will not grow. Right. And so that's a really big thing. If a lot of times too, we hear owners, well, the problem is the people don't want to work a lot. That's also typically a red flag for us, because it's like, no, people do want to work, but they want to work with people they feel led by and they feel like momentum to be by them. Right. They want to be on a mission.
Yep.
So I'm always saying, hey, if you are like, I have a really hard time delegating, it's okay. It's totally normal. I believe we all do, but you have to make a choice. You have to say, do I want this to grow? And if I do, it starts with me. So your company will only go as far as the leader does. So that's the importance of investing in getting coaching or guidance, or, even just simply reading, or to put an audiobook in, right? There's so many great resources out there for that, which actually is one of the things that we are doing soon. We're dropping a blog with some of the top books that we recommend roofing contractors to listen to audiobooks or to take a read, just because they're super powerful and we have seen so much change. So it really starts with the owner. I think there's this this deepness that they have to deal with, which is they're their own hindrance.
When you say that, I can hear that you not only are say that's best for other owners, but it sounds like you've implemented that inside of your business as well. When you mentioned that, hey, that's the ops team, that's their expertise. So that's cool. So once you're out of the way as the owner, as the bottleneck, where do you see the bottlenecks happen inside of the process? Is like, if you had to pick, whether it was sales, maybe it was operations, production, or marketing, if you had to pick like one, like just personally, a job inside of a roofing company, where do you think you would make the most impact? You're filling in a role and you're like, you know what, if I came in this spot, that's where I know I can move the needle the most.
I would almost say the production area. So, right. So when it comes to like pulling permits, scheduling inspections, production. So once the orders, like materials ordered, we can handle like scheduling crews, scheduling dumpsters, all of those things. Also that world-class experience, reaching out to the client, reminding them of what's coming, making sure automations are placed as well as they're getting text emails. But kind of that whole thing, right? Which is an interesting part, because depending on how you're set up as a company, right? Sometimes you hear a gap between sales and operations.
Yep.
So that's a very, very common.
So you're closing that gap.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we're supporting both the sales side, right? So we're really setting that for success. So we have 24/7 US-based call support, right? But paired with that is every contractor we're working with, we create their own customized AI as we partner with an AI company that builds AIs for our client. So we build out a customized AI for them that's taking the inbound calls and is able to filter those calls for them. And then if the individual wants to schedule an appointment, it schedules it directly we send it to our team that answers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, holidays, weekends, and inside your CRM. So we can answer the call and immediately put it into JobNimbus or AccuLynx. And then we can assign the sales rep, right? So now the sales rep can be assigned, and then we can immediately go ahead and pull a measurement and drop it into their estimate builder, because now the sales rep, as they get up in the morning, they look at their app, right? They can already see, oh, there's a measurement and there's a rough estimate, a blueprint of what the quote might be. So that's there. And then we can do the follow-up, right? Once they go out there, they hunt, and it looks good. Like, we can follow up with the client to see if they have any questions, anything of that nature. And then from there, once that's closed, we then handle the production side. Once production is closed, then we can handle the back end as well, COCs and things of that nature.
If a company's doing really well, they're doing great marketing, the leads are coming in, the guys are selling, but they're struggling with taking it from sales to operations.
Mhm.
That's where you're seeing a lot of disconnect happen.
Yeah, that's where we see a lot of disconnect. Why? Because it doesn't tend to be something that they enjoy, right? It's even the following up with the quotes. If you talk to any company, they'll be like, man, we have so many quotes that are just dead. Like, we touched it twice, 3 times, and then nothing happened, right? Because we just keep moving to the next one. So following up on a rehash list has a big impact. So those are, the hunter likes to hunt. Everything else, they don't tend to enjoy that much. And that includes production. So
when it comes to like long-term relationship, like, I'm thinking about, I was a marketing manager for a long time. I was in sales. So when you said having pre-measure, the measurements already into your folder for your upcoming appointments, like, oh man, that would have been amazing. But as a marketing manager, I was in charge of like finding companies that I could work with. Who's the best person that's normally reaching out to you? You said it's like an operations manager or the owner. How's that normally working?
So you're referring to when we onboard a new client? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, both. We typically speak to the owners, right? So saying, hey, either you have an existing team and you want to amplify bandwidth, right? Or you have a team, but you realize that there's still some gaps. So this is the thing that we see the most damage happening in companies, is they do not have themselves set up with processes and procedures. So a lot of times the owner or the team has everything written in their head, but that's not how you're going to grow, right? You cannot have everything in your just written inside of your brain. You need to extract that information and sent out, provided, so people can replicate it, right? So what we've learned is that that's a huge difficulty for them. So there's a lot of blaming. They're like, well, it's the sales, they don't do that. Well, the thing is that there's not really a defined who is the individual totally accountable for this to be successful, right? So that's another thing. It's like really setting up your team for success by having true accountability for every player on the team, right? So sales, you are totally accountable for these actions, this, written form, and boom, you are going to be measured by that as well, right? And so we see there's a lot of lack in that, especially even in operations. Like, you are responsible for this, and you're going to be measured by success by that. So accountability, and also measuring that accountability, is some areas that we see a lot of gaps, which is where the part of us coming from a corporate background and connecting it with the roofing world and that administrative side, I think, has been a really powerful tool, because we help in that, right? So when a client onboards with us, we actually give them an SOP hub. And in the SOP hub, we provide them best practice in the industry. They actually just go through and select which best practice they're going to utilize, which is awesome, because a lot of times they're like, we don't even know. We don't know. We don't have a standard operating procedure for this. I'm like, yeah, well, just go ahead and select best practices, the ones we recommend, and then we can build their SOPs from there.
When it comes to the size of company that you're normally working with, you mentioned haven't worked with some of them from like 3 million to 30 million. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. So we've worked 100 million, right? We've worked literally with, if you're 100 million company and like 100 million and a 1 million, it's literally almost the same skeleton. So yeah. So what we typically see, though, we're ranging from the 5 to 30 mil. That's typically what we're working with, but we've worked with all ranges, including 100 million. So 100 million, 60 million, 80 million, we're very familiar.
So at that, $30 million range of revenue, what does it look like on the like if I'm completely utilizing you for everything, I'm doing 30 million, so I'm doing a couple, just over a couple $1 million a month. Is it mostly commercial? Do I have a small team, a large team? Are you handling everything for me? Like how does that work like I said, at that level?
It just depends. Like we have some contractors that just do commercial. Commercial is a different beast. The time span takes longer, right? Early typically to close, and then you have just residential roofing. So pretty much it's not by a team. So we don't give you a team. It's truly like machinery. We're going to go in and then we're going to just plug in and we are going to just pump out the work. And so when we're doing the work, it's going to our specialists, right? So like, hey, I'm a permit's getting pulled. Well, our specialist is pulling all the permits. Our team is, right? So it's really like a machinery. It's not how many VAs you get. We're not VAs. It's not how many team members you get because you don't get team members. We're a machine. So what comes in goes out. And we can give you data of like requests has came in and it has been delivered. So the name of the game is truly streamlined, right? It's just like machinery.
So whether I'm getting 10 leads or 100 leads a week from completing 5 or 50 jobs a week, on your end, it looks the same, you're saying? Is that correct?
In regards to jobs that we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be the same exact thing. We literally, it's tasks, right? So we're taking these tasks off your plate. If you're doing 50 or 100 or 1,000, it's just the task that we're taking on. So that's kind of how it's built out.
And when it comes to like a big thing right now is private equity, and how does that work?
Yeah, we're super familiar with private equity. Several of our clients have been purchased by private equity, so we're very familiar. It is very attractive to private equity when you have a really well-ran back office, right? So very structured, very organized. You have your numbers, your finances are in place. This is very, very attractive to them. So we are very experienced in that area of getting our contractors getting purchased by private equity. We're also very familiar with customers who are acquiring roofing companies, right?
Okay.
From individuals who are going to retire. And they're like, okay, we know that this is, the numbers looks good, but now we really want to know if the inside is looking pretty well. And so we're able to support them as well there, consult them, provide them actually a checklist that they review, right? And we're asking very important questions, concrete questions, for us to be able to get a pulse on truly the health of the internal administration of that company.
Yeah. That makes sense because you would do that anyway with a new client.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. I could see that being extremely useful. So if I've got some capital, I'm looking to invest and I'm concerned, hey, is the admin being done right? I could reach out to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if it's like, we recently had one guy and he's like, hey, this company has really been running just with 2 people. And it's like this mom and pop shop and they're at like 3 million. But I just kind of want to know like the back end. So we're able to give them a full on checklist to go in depth, to ask those questions, just to really help the decision making there. And then if it's areas that need to be cleaned up or CRMs that need to be implemented or audits that need to happen, we're able to do that as well. Those are like one-off projects that we do.
So you see a lot of different perspectives. You've seen a lot of different companies. What's something that the best companies are doing that the companies that struggle to get past that $2 to $3 million mark are doing?
Yeah, they are literally empowering themselves. The owners are totally vision driven. They're investing in themselves. So they're going to conferences. They're getting coaching. They're like, they're just focused on building great teams. And that is just, as you're focused on building great teams, it's just rippling into everything. So like, you know what? We want to make sure our internal team is not burning out. So we're going to bring in a BPO to help support them as well, right? So they're able to give more growth without burning out their people. So they're caring about their people. They're caring about growth. And so those are the ones that have the most success. The ones that don't have much, like a lot of success, are the ones that are like, no one really can do it like I do it, or no one else.
Yeah.
Like,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So they're not data driven, right? And so that's another thing. It's like the companies that we're seeing be super successful, they are data driven. They are not going by emotion, right? They're going by data. And so they're saying, okay, cool. Like we got 50 leads. Out of 50 leads, 25 converted. So it's just they're making decisions on data, and that's really leading their path of growth as well. And they care about their people. They want their people to be excited and happy to work with them because they're realizing that people are the key to success, right? Your team is, even if it's a small team or a large team, happy team members typically is a healthy company.
And that is so good. At times I I'm really excited to see what you guys do in the industry. I believe that the roofing industry right now, it's been in kind of like this cycle for the past 5 to 7 years of like every 12 to 18 months, like this new thing. There's like changes, everything. But it seems like we're getting to a point now to where it's kind of leveling out again, I guess, when it comes to expectations, when we're going, there might be something super revolutionary coming. I've seen robots on roofs, and I don't think that's going to replace anybody anytime soon. But it's like it's like the phones now, right? They've kind of plateaued. The question is, are you going? I say plateaued. That might sound limiting, but it's like the technology is there. I mean, AI is here. The support's there. The materials are better. It's just a question of, do you want to, like you said, do you want to grow? Because if you're not growing, probably die. Real quick, and I want to just go ahead and close with this. Do you have a book that you're currently reading or that you would recommend that made a big impact on you recently?
I actually do. And hold on, let me literally pull it up because I have been listening to it and I don't remember. It is called Radical Candor. Am I saying that even correct in English?
It's radical candor. Yeah, like radical honesty.
Yeah, it's fully revised, right? And it's by Kim Scott. That's whooping my butt. It is. She's, worked for Apple, worked for Google, and just talking about just the power of being just straightforward, but always with lifting up. So it's been whooping me like really intensely. So I would highly recommend if you're in a town from owner. Yeah, Radical Candor. So powerful by Kim Scott. Really good.
Super cool. Guys, before we jump off the call, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to tell that whoever's listening to this podcast, you have a purpose and you have that business, and it's not by accident. I think there's great things for you've been called to do in this world, and your business will make a big impact. So double down on yourself, right? The things that frustrate you about business, all that stuff, double down on yourself, grow, and really your company can only go as far as the leader does. So, hey, just tap into that and you're going to see a lot of success. Super excited for you guys.
Love it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and tag Saenz Global here on this post in the description. So if you are looking to grow your business and you believe that there's better things ahead and you're just looking for the right team to do that with, reach out to Saenz Global. We're so thankful to have them as a partner, and we're looking forward to doing some more things here in the future. Thank you all, and you have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it, Richie.
Bye-bye.